STAKK Nation, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Brazen
and your boy Double O.
All right. Before we jump into this show here today, ladies and gentlemen, please do not forget to like the video, subscribe to our channel, follow us on our social media handles. Right? How do they say it these days? Like for the algorithm, right? Get us in the algo, man. Get us in the spinning wheel, the hamster wheel. Is that what you say? The hamster wheel of YouTube. That's where we want to be, man, at full speed. Okay? Now, do not forget to follow us on our social media platforms, Facebook, what's the other one called? Twitter and Instagram, right? Exactly. So, here's the thing. Dude, one of the biggest reasons we have our channel is to be able to help with crypto adoption. Right?
That's our mission, right? That's one of our main mission.
Yes. And when I say crypto adoption, right? Because, obviously we started from the beginning, kind of looking at every crypto coin that is out there, but then we kind of narrowed down into Bitcoin, right? But the technology and the ideas are still very valid, right? But I think the most important one is Bitcoin. And look, man, we have to keep talking about this, and maybe we're not for everyone, I get that, but I think it would be a disservice to society if we don't keep going, because you don't know who is listening to you, and you never know. People learn from different people, and people learn in different ways, right? We may be that group of people that make it click for others, right? It may not apply for others, but this is why I think it's important to keep talking about these things until people get it, right? With that being said, what do we have on the table today, Dolo?
Well, we had a video, I think about a month now, where we talked about the Bitcoin use cases.
Right.
And we now have a situation where it's not, some people have seen it apply to their lives.
Right.
And we actually have a global, worldwide use case of Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies at the moment. And we figure it was a good time for us to talk about the actual implementation, the life experience, not just from experiments to an actual use case.
Yeah. So this is no longer speculation, because one of the biggest things is when you engage in conversations with people about the use of Bitcoin, right? Especially online, everyone kind of says, it's fantasy, whatever the case. I don't want to say they act like they don't see what is happening, but they have not reached the point of understanding that we are on. Not saying that we are right necessarily.
Yeah.
We're right. We're definitely right. But
there you go. That's a good one.
Yeah, look, man, I'm just saying, because what we have to look at. I think one of the best ways is to look at what we're dealing with right now, and look at the past as well and what has happened, and then ask yourself what can change what we're dealing with at this point in time. And at this point in time, when you make that comparison, you can see that Bitcoin is definitely delivering. Let's talk about some things that are happening right now. One of the biggest things is the right to own property. Owning property, you could say, is one of the foundations of freedom, right? Being able to create something, produce value, get rewarded for that value, and hold on to that value, or maybe even grow it, right, under your own control. And with the current system that we see, right, there's what we know as asset forfeiture, which happens during wars, and what else?
It's happening right now. I mean, let's just use the exact example: Ukraine, Russia. Right. It's happening right now. If you're a Ukraine citizen, you have to leave your country, which is majority of all the assets that you've built over time. How do you go to another country to reestablish yourself? Or in the situation of Russian citizens, some good, some bad, where the country says you cannot, we're freezing all your money, or you can access your money. Or
even the fact that it's like, even the fact that it's also like indirect, right? Because because of the sanctions, right? A bunch of the banks get taken off SWIFT, and funds are frozen, and then maybe now people are gonna withdraw their funds, or the business people that can no longer access their funds
Yeah.
because of what is happening.
Yep.
But carry on.
Perfect example. I mean, I don't know if I need to say go any deeper.
Yeah, no, I mean it's pretty much straightforward. It's just facts. That's what is happening.
Yeah.
You know, you could also add Canada in there. We've been seeing what's been happening in Canada.
Yep.
Right?
With the troubles.
Exactly. Asset forfeiture through what is that? There's that GoFundMe, man. Yeah. You know, centralized entities seem to have a massive failure. It's a failure point.
Yeah,
for our society.
It's not making sense because the government put the central banks in place after World War II, so on and so forth, to help protect us. But history is now trying to show us that it's no longer protection; it's just benefiting them, and you're the one losing that at the end of the day. Talk about 0.01% interest rate.
Look, man, power in the hands of a few never turns out the best. Now, the other thing is this borderless agenda, right? You mentioned earlier, say for people who are in an area with crisis, you can, let's say if you decided you were able to sell some of your property and things like that, or if you just had money in the bank, you can transfer your wealth and take it with you anywhere in the world. I think that we've never had anything like this before. I
mean, I was given an example in our last video, which we're going to put at the end of this video so you can see the use cases of Bitcoin. They will call it money laundering if you're just moving money from one country to another. Where in a scenario where you have war, you have to move your money from one country to another without all the rules that, you must report it to IRS and all the stuff, because what is IRS when I need to survive? So in the case of Ukrainians, they need to be able to survive across the border in Poland and everything and everywhere else. You know, the old conversion rate is screwed up. The devaluation of your currency is done. You can't access the banks. The banks are shut down. You can't even touch your money. This is when you have technologies like Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies that you can say, okay, I don't need bags and luggage of gold and currencies to make it across the border. All I need is a tiny little USB drive or wallet or even a software on my phone. Make it across the border. If I can get that across the border, I can still live.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Easy to carry. Still holds value. Limited supply. I mean, dude, you can't beat this thing, man. Now, let's talk a little bit more about this central bank situation. Yeah. When you take all your wealth, right? Because I think, dude, from the beginning of time, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, property ownership, right? I really think that is one of the pillars of freedom. Being able to create value for people and get rewarded for it, it's amazing. And then to take that value, which you have, gathered, money essentially, and put it into a central bank or an entity which you're supposed to trust. And trust is another thing, man, because trust is something that has faded away. There is no longer any trust in all the entities that should be trusted today in our society, from news to banks to government. Yeah. It's in shambles, right?
Yeah.
However,
you almost can't trust your neighbor. It's that bad.
Absolutely. Right? So it's in shambles. And everyone realizes this. So I always ask myself, why is it that we can all agree that everyone realizes that there's corruption and all these things, but some people still want to stick to this old school system? Why do you think that is?
It goes back to, it's right there, the title, central banking,
right.
All the power in one person's hand. There's this saying, terminology or quotes, too much power, I guess, I can't put it together.
Something about total power corrupts.
Yeah, total power corrupts. Yeah, and I think that's what has happened with the old central banking, because like you was just saying, nations are basically, they own that land, they own that property. So the value, the GDP comes from the people of that country, right? But this is not like several BCs back where you have a king. Basically, I think that's kind of what's happening back again, where everybody just take all their money and give it to the king, which is what we're doing right now with the IRS and the banks, right? But then what are you getting back? Which is, okay, I put my money towards taxes, I get protection, I get, roads, I got good infrastructure. we have some of that, but there's some abuse of that same money at the same time, right?
Some abuse.
So exactly,
there's a absolutely outright abuse, not some complete abuse.
We have the issue of the okay, you want to go ahead and sanction Russia, but you're not touching the oil because you know that oil will impact your pockets, and you know it's going to impact your money. But you're saying that someone is doing something wrong, but you're not really sanctioning them. So that goes a little bit deeper. So if you have cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin especially, you can not only trust it because it's a software, it's take that human interface out of it, and then you can now transparency and see where that money is going, so that somebody is not fraudulently using that money to support somebody that you said is your enemy, but in the back you're really making money off of them.
This is true. Now here's the thing, before we move on to the next point here, which is war, I want to share this article which you actually sent earlier today here. I'm going to drop this here. So we can see Ukraine says airdrop confirmed after receiving 33 million in crypto donations, right? The whole airdrop thing, I'm still kind of wondering what that is about. But the point here is we can see that through cryptocurrencies, especially through Bitcoin, we are seeing a country that is in crisis still be able to effectively raise money, millions of dollars, right? And I think the coolest part about this is the fact that you don't have to go through all these other intermediaries, right? You don't have to go through, you don't have to go through the UN or whatever else organization, charitable organization is out there these days. Are those actually still a thing? Like having, you know, like how like back in the days they used to have all these charitable organizations where it was like they printed a picture of like some African kid with a fly on his eyeball.
Yeah.
Do they still have those?
Yes, they still do. I forgot what the terminology is, but yeah, they fund these small
non-profit
organizations.
Is that what
yeah, but there's an actual word, and it's just blowing off my head right now. Somebody out there probably knows what it is. Well, but yes, it does exist in Africa. Yeah, okay, well. And like the core focus is education. So you write your document, you submit it to them. So okay, you approve. They give you $1 million for you to improve education in that country or whatsoever. Yeah, it's still going on. And some people actually do good with it. It's just that there's again corruption in that system as well.
Some people do good with it, but you know, here's the thing. We can point out to the biggest ones, right? Because I think for those people who want to do good with it, they can now set up something, just a website and an address, and people will donate to that cause, and that person can take that money and go do what they want to do. If they're scamming, I guess in a society where the supply of money is limited, you will still have to spend, so that money is going to go back out one way or another. But if we look at people like the IMF who have been fighting poverty and hunger in various countries across the world, millions of dollars into these countries, however, these countries are still in the same place, or at least you're still posting the same pictures of people suffering, no houses, living in huts. In 2021 or 2022, there is a problem. But that's another video. So we can see that Ukraine has been receiving massive donations through Bitcoin, and this in itself right here, I don't know how else you can explain it to someone, but this is that use case of Bitcoin, one of those things that we've been talking about all along. And I think people in this situation, if there's anything they have going for them, as horrible as this situation is, at the very least, they can still be able to engage with the world from a financial standpoint and use those finances, those resources to make, I guess, to find solutions for themselves. There we go.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned, I think there was another video that we talked about maximum efficiency, which is the goal that we all have to try to get to. Right. It's easier for me to transfer money straight from my wallet, straight to the Ukrainian government's wallet. Boom, just like that. Versus taking my money, driving to the bank, transferring to the bank, and then taking that money and then transferring it to some central organization and then transfers it to the Ukraine. It's
exactly.
not efficient. Yeah.
It's not efficient. So the money goes straight to the people who need it, you know. Yeah. And with Bitcoin, man, you can reach anyone in the world. You can touch anyone's life across the world anytime. And I think that is just something that it's incredible. I don't think people really fully appreciate the magnitude of what that means. But as time goes by, Bitcoin does not necessarily have like a PR team. Well, it does now with all these clowns running around doing whatever they're doing these days. Yeah. But it's one of those things that it's really just existing. And when situations happen, it rises to the top, proving its purpose. So it just keeps going through all of this tests, and I think that is necessary for it to keep going through the test, the resistance, and everything. And if it still comes out at the top, well, then can you argue at that point that it is the one and only?
Yeah, you cannot now say that it's only used for fraud.
Yeah,
that argument is basically quickly disappearing.
Yeah, that argument has to die because fraud was existing before now. As a matter of fact, I think Bitcoin is the worst currency to use for fraud because remember, I'll give you an example. There was it Bitfinex hack that happened many years ago, and the Bitcoin was sitting in a wallet for the longest of times, right? Mm-hmm. And when that wallet moves, everyone can see it. So if you're a fraudster and you decide to steal this money and put it into Bitcoin, well, now all of us can see where you're moving the money, And
even if you use Monero, right, XMR, and you kind of mix it up. If you move such a big money, everybody says like, okay, what was that possible with that money?
Exactly, and that's when people start going, because you would think someone who is doing some fraudulent stuff will want to stay under the radar. So that argument is dead as well. But that's all I have for right now. Any final thoughts, Double O?
No, man. Thanks for liking and subscribing. We love doing what we do. We want to come back and give you guys some more reason why we think that this technology is better for us, for you, and better for the future of your economy. But hey, that's it, man. That's all I've got.
Absolutely. Well, until next time, ladies and gentlemen, please do not forget to follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Okay, we are also on. See, I whipped out my African accent there. We are also on Instagram, STAKK Crypto. Follow us there as well. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, brazen out.
Double O out. Peace.